In this tutorial, we're making a delicious cartoon cupcake in Blender. It's beginner-friendly, and by the end, you'll have a sweet 3D render. Let's start. Press A to select everything. Press Delete. Now, let's create the cake. Shift plus A, Mesh, UV Sphere. Go to Front View with Numpad 1. Press the period key on the numpad to focus on the sphere. In the operator panel, bottom left, increase segments to 64. More segments, smoother geometry. This helps the frosting look round. We want it to look like the top of a cake, so press S, then Z, and scale down on the Z-axis until it becomes a short dome. Stop when it looks like a cupcake top. This gives the right silhouette for frosting. Apply the scale now. Press Ctrl plus A, Apply, Scale. This makes sure modifiers and future deforms behave predictably. Press Tab to go into Edit mode. Press 3 for Face Select. Press Alt-Z to enable X-ray. Select the bottom faces and press X, Faces, to delete them. Switch to Edge Select with 2. Alt-click the bottom rim to loop select the edge. Press G, then Z, and move the rim down a bit. Then press S to narrow the rim slightly. That softens the base profile and gives a nicer silhouette. Now let's make the wrapper ridges. Select a horizontal edge loop around the middle of the cake. Open the Select menu and choose Checker Deselect. This picks every other edge, which we'll use to form alternating ridges.
Press S plus Shift plus Z to scale those edges out on X and Y only. Scaling out every other edge creates those classic wrapper indentations. Finish with smoothing. Go to the Modifier tab and add a subdivision surface. Right-click, Shade Smooth. The subdivision softens the dome and gives a tasty, smooth frosting look. Now let's add the cupcake paper. Select the side faces of the cake. Press Shift and D to duplicate them. Then press P and choose Selection. Now it's a new object. Go to the modifiers and remove the subdivision surface. In Edit mode, select all the side edges. From the top menu, choose Select, Checker Deselect. Invert the selection with Ctrl-I. Deselect the very top and bottom edge loops. Press Shift and Alt to click. Now press Ctrl-B to bevel. Boom! That gives the wrapper those nice ridges. Finally, press S, Shift-Z to scale it outwards just a little. It looks more like cupcake paper now. Switch to X-ray mode. Press 1 for Vertex Select. Select the bottom vertices, then press G plus Z to move them down, then press F to fill the bottom. For realism, add a Solidify modifier. Increase thickness just a tiny bit. Now we've got a proper cupcake wrap. Now let's add the cream on top. Press Shift-A, UV Sphere. In the bottom left panel, reduce segments and rings to 8. This keeps the mesh simple and easy to shape. We want a soft puff, not a perfect ball. Press S, then Z, and scale down on the Z-axis until it looks squashed like frosting. Move it up with G plus Z so it sits on the cake top. Press Tab to enter Edit mode. Select the bottom vertex. Turn on Proportional Editing by pressing O. Grab that vertex and move it up. Use the mouse wheel to control the fall-off radius. This creates a smooth, natural puff shape. Press G plus Z to finally position the cream on the cake. Add smoothness with Ctrl plus 2 to add a subdivision surface. Right-click and choose Shade Smooth. The subdivision makes the cream look soft and round. Now scale it a touch with S plus Z to make it fuller. Let's add some organic variation. Keep Proportional Editing on, select random vertices and move them slightly. Small, uneven pushes break the perfect sphere and make it look like real frosting. Duplicate the layer with Shift-D and place it on top of the previous one.
Reshape it the same way, proportional edits, small tweaks, and check from other angles. Repeat duplicating and shaping until you have a stacked cream swirl that reads well from the camera. This creates a soft, handcrafted frosting. No perfect geometry, just tasty form. Let's add the chocolate drizzle on top. Press 7 for top view. In edit mode, select the faces at the middle of the cream. Press Shift-D to duplicate them. Now press P and choose Selection. This separates the duplicated part as a new object. We'll use this as the chocolate layer. Go to the Modifier tab and add a Solidify modifier. Make sure the Solidify modifier is above the subdivision surface in the stack. Increase the thickness until it looks like a chocolate layer. Also change the offset from -1 to 1 so the thickness goes in the correct direction. Switch to top view again, select the vertices, and with proportional editing on, gently shape them. This helps the chocolate sit naturally on the cream instead of being perfectly round. Now let's create the drips. Go to Edge Select mode. Pick 2 edges at the bottom where you want the chocolate to flow. Switch to front view. Press E to extrude them downward. This gives the chocolate a natural gravity effect. To make the drips more interesting, select an edge on the side. Press E to extrude again, then move it down. Press S to scale and G to move vertices so the drip follows the cream curve. Don't worry about being precise. Chocolate is never a perfect shape. It always flows randomly. From time to time, orbit around the model and check from different angles. Move vertices around roughly until the drips look natural and fluid. Remember, the key is imperfection. Chocolate is never a perfect shape. It always flows randomly.
Let's add the cherry. Press Shift+A and add a UV sphere. This time, increase the segments and rings to 16 so it looks smoother. Press G+Z to move it on top of the cream. Go into Edit mode. Select the faces at the very top. With proportional editing on, press G+Z to move them slightly inward. If the effect feels too wide or too narrow, roll the mouse wheel to adjust the fall-off. This gives the cherry its dimple at the top. Now, loop select the edges near the top and press G+Z to move them upward. This will start shaping that nice round curve. Switch to front view and select a few vertices at the top left and right. With proportional edit still on, press G and move them up slightly. This helps create the natural curve of the cherry. Then select some vertices in the middle, press G+Z, and move them down just a little. This makes the bottom curve softer. Keep tweaking vertices like this. Push a few up, pull a few down, until you're happy with the shape. The goal is to get that perfect round cherry look, with just a hint of organic imperfection.
Now, let's add the cherry stem. First, select the top faces of the cherry. Press X, then Faces, to delete them. We removed the top so we can build the stem from the cherry itself. Loop select the open edge. Press S to scale it down. We want a small opening so the stem looks natural. Switch to front view and enable X-ray. Scale the loop down a bit more if needed. This keeps the stem thin and centered. Press E to extrude upward. Scale the extrusion down with S so it tapers. Press G to move the new section into place. Extrude again with E, rotate with R for a small bend, and move with G. Repeat E, S, G to extend the stem and shape its curve. This step-by-step extrusion follows the cherry's contour and creates a natural bend. When you reach the desired length, select the open end and press F to fill it. Add detail. Press Ctrl+R for a loop cut near the tip. Loop select the last 2 rows of faces. Press Alt+E, then extrude along normals to give the tip a little volume. This makes the end of the stem look organic, not flat. Now refine the curve. Switch to X-ray, select vertices, and nudge them with G to make a gentle S shape. Small moves, subtle curves, That's the secret to a natural stem. Add smoothness with Ctrl+2 for a subdivision surface. Right-click, Shade Smooth. Finally, scale S and move G+Z the stem so it sits perfectly on the chocolate. Looks tasty, but still 0 calories. Place the stem and admire that cherry.
Now for the final touches. Let's add one more drop of chocolate on the cream. This makes the scene look more natural and balanced. Next, let's prepare the cherry for texturing. Go into Edit mode on the cherry, switch to Edge Select. At the point where the cherry meets the stem, select that edge loop. Press Ctrl-B to bevel it. Use the mouse wheel to add 3 segments. This bevel creates a smooth transition between the cherry and stem. Now select the middle edge of that bevel. Press Ctrl-E, Mark Seam. This marks a clean UV seam for later texturing. Do the same for the very tip of the stem. Mark a seam there too. Good seams means easier unwrapping and better texture results. Time to bring it to life with materials. In the top right corner of Blender, switch your viewport shading to Material Preview. Then drag up the bottom panel. Change it from Timeline to Shader Editor. This is where we'll create all our materials. But before we dive in, make sure you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. It's built into Blender. You just need to activate it from Edit to Preferences to Add-ons. With Node Wrangler, building materials becomes much faster and easier. Perfect. Our model is ready for materials.
Let's start with the cherry material. With the cherry selected, click New to create a material. Choose a rich cherry red as the base color. Now let's add some detail. Press Shift+A, search for Noise Texture, and drop it in. With Node Wrangler enabled, press Ctrl+T to automatically add a texture coordinate and mapping node. Take the FAC output from the Noise node and drag it into empty space. From the search menu, choose Color Ramp. Connect the output of the color ramp to the roughness input of the principled BSDF. To preview this effect, select the color ramp node and press Shift+click on it. This shows us the noise texture output. Drag the handles of the color ramp closer to the middle to tighten the contrast. Also adjust the scale on the noise texture until you get a nice organic look. Once you're happy, press Shift-Control+click on the principled BSDF to return to the full material output. The cherry now looks juicy and realistic. Next, let's texture the stem. Go into Edit mode, hover your mouse over the stem, and press L to select the linked mesh. In the Material panel, click the Slot dropdown, then click the plus button to add a new material slot. Click Assign, then click New to make a new material. This time, let's use a gradient. Press Shift+A and add a Separate XYZ node. With Node Wrangler, press Ctrl+T, then delete the Image Texture node. Connect the mapping node's output into the Separate XYZ and connect the Z output into a color ramp. Plug the color ramp into the base color of the principled BSDF. For the left handle of the color ramp, pick a dark green. For the right handle, choose a dark yellow. Now adjust the Z location value in the mapping node to control the gradient along the stem. Finally, let's give the very end of the stem a different tone. Go back into Edit mode, hover over the stem tip, and press L again to select it. Add another material slot with the plus button, click Assign, then create a new material. Set the base color to a dark brown. And now our cherry and stem look natural, with color variation that feels alive.
Let's make the chocolate look tasty. Select the chocolate object and click New in the Material panel. Press Shift+A and add a Voronoi texture. With Node Wrangler active, press Ctrl+T to add texture coordinate and mapping nodes. Add a color ramp and connect the Voronoi FAC output into the color ramp. Now add a bump node. Connect the color ramp output into the height input of the bump node. Connect the bump normal output into the normal input of the principled BSDF. Pick a dark chocolate brown for the base color. Lower the roughness so it has a subtle shine. Change the Voronoi feature from F1 to Distance to Edge. This gives a nice cracked, organic look. Tweak the bump settings. Increase the distance, then reduce the strength until the detail looks natural. If it's too strong, dial the strength down. If it's too flat, increase the distance a bit. Now the cream. Select the cream object and click New. Choose a soft, light yellow as the base color. This gives a warm, buttery frosting tone. Press Shift+A and add a noise texture. Press Ctrl+T to get texture coordinate and mapping nodes.
Use the noise FAC output into a color ramp. Connect the color ramp output to the roughness input of the principled BSDF. This subtle noise and roughness breaks perfect reflections. Small noise makes the cream look soft and slightly uneven, which reads as realistic frosting. Adjust the noise scale and the color ramp handles until the highlight behavior looks natural. To copy the cream material to another cream object, select the second cream, then shift-select the original cream with the material. Press Ctrl-L and choose Materials, Link Materials. This copies the material quickly and keeps settings consistent.
Select the wrap object and click New. Pick a soft light yellow for the base color. We want the paper to look matte, so increase the roughness value. To make the paper slightly see-through, lower the alpha value a little. Now select the cake object and create a new material. We'll add subtle surface detail so the cake looks soft and slightly crumbly. Press Shift-A, Arrow Noise Texture. With Node Wrangler, press Ctrl-T to add texture coordinate and mapping automatically. Take the FAC output from the noise texture and add a color ramp. Drag the color ramp output into a bump node's height input. Connect the bump normal output into the normal input of the principled BSDF. The bump turns the noise into small surface variation. Increase the distance on the bump node to change how the noise is sampled, then reduce the strength until the detail is settled. To preview the noise, select the color ramp node and shift-click it. This lets you inspect the node output. Move the left handle of the color ramp toward the middle to tighten the contrast. Increase the scale on the noise texture and raise detail slightly for a finer cake-like grain. When it looks good, Shift-Control-click the principled BSDF to return to the final material output. Now reduce the bump strength a bit so the effect is gentle. Set the base color to a warm light brown. This reads like baked cake.
Let's add some lights to the scene. Switch the viewport to Render Preview so we can see lighting in real time. This helps us judge light intensity and shadows while we work. From Front View, press Shift+A and add an area light. Place it in the top right corner of the scene. Select the cupcake and scale S if needed so the light reads nicely on the model. Select the light, move it closer to the cake, rotate it to aim at the frosting. Scale the light up S to make the shadows softer. Larger area lights equals softer, nicer shadows. Open the light tab on the right. Increase the power so the cupcake is well lit. Do not go too high, raise it until you get clean highlights and soft shadows. Switch to top view. Move the light forward a little and rotate so it faces the cupcake naturally. Now Shift-D to duplicate the light. Place the duplicate on the left side. Rotate and scale it to match. This gives balanced fill from both sides and reduces harsh contrast. Open Render Properties. Switch the engine to Cycles. Set the device to GPU if you have a compatible graphics card. If your PC is not powerful, lower the viewport samples so you can preview faster. This saves time without changing the final render settings. Select the right light again. Duplicate it and move this copy behind the cake from top view. Rotate it to face the cupcake and set its angle, size, to something narrow. Change the rotation angle from 180 down to 15 or lower. This backlight creates a rim highlight. It separates the cupcake from the background. Quick tip, smaller lights equals harder edges, larger lights equals softer edges. Use a mix for nice depth.
And that's it. Our cupcake is finished. We modeled, added cream, chocolate, a cherry, and gave it materials and lights. I hope you had fun and learned something new. If this video helped you, please give it a like. It really supports the channel. Leave a comment telling me what dessert I should model next. And if you want more tutorials like this, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss new videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. And until then, happy blending.